Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive. This week, I continue my series on the Archons and Death Angels of Kult Divinity Lost by talking about Yesod, the Archon of Avarice, and Gamaliel, the Death Angel of Desire. These two relate to each other kind of obliquely, but like all Archon Death Angel pairs, you'll be able to see connections between the two. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as I talk about Yesod and Gamaliel. A tea company sets up a colony in a remote area and enslaves an indigenous population to more efficiently make more tea. A king declares war on his neighbor for a gold mine. Literally, for a gold mine. A senator or member of parliament accepts a bribe to support some position. This is where the fingers of Yesod come into the world. Yesod is the Archon of Avarice, of greed. He is the Archon who makes us never satisfied with what we have, always wanting more. That is, of course, how he keeps us in the lie, by keeping us looking for the next big score, the next little bit of extra money, extra this, extra that we can find. And we never stop to look at what is around us, because we're so driven by this desire to acquire more things. He is the Archon of Capitalism, the Archon who drives the modern world. And in fact, much of the Western world is heavily under his sway. He was weaker throughout most of history. The church, feudal systems, all those things kept him in check. But then came the Industrial Revolution. Then came the robber barons of the Americas. The vast expansion of colonialism by the great European powers. And even things like the Dutch East India Company. And these spurred his power, spurred him greatly into more and more authority to the world. And it was believed in the war between the Archons after the Demiurge vanished that Yesod was killed. But no. Tifereth had helped him. She had helped him escape into our world, into Elysium, and has been keeping him hidden as he begins to rebuild his power. His ultimate goal is to build up enough power that he can remanifest, that he can break free from the prison he helped create and maintain, and remanifest himself back into his citadel in Metropolis. But that is besides the point. He is purely about acquisition, and he has helped strengthen Tifereth due to their alliance. Tifereth has worked hard to keep him under her control. But he is still about the acquisition. And you can't really motivate yourself to want to acquire things without his shadow. For Gamaliel, his shadow, is the driving force of desire. A Roman empress enters into a competition with a prostitute to see who can satisfy the most men, and ends the night triumphant but unsatisfied. The Marquis de Sade, in his quest for pleasure and pain. The John who picks up a prostitute on a street corner. These are all the connections of Gamaliel into the world. Gamaliel has always been with us, for Gamaliel is the death angel of desire, the pleasures of the flesh, the lust for the flesh. His principal, desire, is an odd instance. You see, his principle is one of the paths for humanity to reclaim our godhood, our lost divinity. Look at things like the story of Enkidu in the Epic of Gilgamesh, who was civilized by a temple prostitute. Look at the story of Osiris, how after he was dismembered, it was Isis giving him the breath of life through a reconstructed phallus that brought him back. And you see the connections between desire, between the flesh, and the aspirations for divinity. Gamaliel twists these. Gamaliel perverts these. Gamaliel is the ultimate in taking something that was aspirational and turning it into something almost monstrous. Think of every sexual perversion, and somewhere in there, Gamaliel is involved. His Nephirites are torturers, but they make skinning you alive pleasurable. His power, you'll find it in these smoke-filled strip clubs. In fact, you'll find gateways to his fortress in Inferno in the brothels, the places where snuff films are made, anything like that, because he's about taking that and twisting it. And that's how he keeps us. That's how he keeps us from rising to our spark of divinity. By taking something that can elevate us and making us drag ourselves down into the dirt, into the mud, into Inferno itself, over it. And he wants us to not have inhibitions. wants us to just revel in this debauchery, because that gives him power. When he is torturing our spirits in his fortress, his dark citadel, and gaining the power from us, from our memories of things relating to his principle, that makes him the easiest to latch onto us. All of the other Death Angels, they have to work. They have to work to get their principles into our lives. But we always have that yearning for the flesh, which means Gamaliel always has an in. And how he relates with his shadow? Well, Yesod is about wealth. Now, the wealthy can get away with much, much more than the poor. Look at how long the Marquis de Sade was able to continue his exploits because of his wealth. Look at people like the Emperor Caligula. While that was power, his wealth, the wealth of the Roman Emperor, allowed him much of that. And most people will just allow someone who's wealthy to get away with more, because someone who's wealthy can buy off people. Oh, that adult star wants to say something. Well, here's some hush money. The two work together obliquely. Without Yesod, Gamaliel's agents wouldn't have the wealth, the greed of flesh to cover their tracks. And there's got to be some amount of desire in the quest for wealth. Because, think about this. There have been those scientific studies that show that someone's wealth impacts their desirability to the other gender. But that is neither here nor there. Next week, I come to the finale of this series, where I talk about the Archon Nahemoth, and the Death Angel Nahemoth, and the Archon Malkuth. Until then, I just want you all to remember to have fun and keep gaming.